Hi everyone, Jasmine here. Before we tune into today's episode, I just wanted to thank you all so much for tuning in. Your listens, your comments, everything means so much to me. I'm working on growing the show, so if you haven't already, hit the follow button, leave me a rating, leave a comment. It helps boost the show and get new ears to the show. I'm so excited for some of the guests that I'll be bringing on in the last half of the summer. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited for my guest today. She is a licensed therapist in San Diego and our next leader of our best Facebook group, Carrie Jackson. Thank you so much for joining me today.
That is now my favorite introduction that I have ever had. Was not expecting that at all, but yes, everybody, for the best Facebook group that is not toxic, that is what we are trying to move forward with.
Have you been kicked out of any Facebook groups yet?
No, because I don't post, I only like creep and see what the drama is. But actually, after I started posting those videos, like talking about how toxic they are, I was like, oh man, I bet you some people are gonna find me and just remove me, but I'm still in them.
Lurking on the sidelines.
Yes.
Well, tell us about your social media journey. Did you always imagine yourself filming content, growing your platform where it is today?
Oh my gosh, no, I never thought that I would be a content creator, which I still sometimes feel odd saying because it never is something that I ever thought I would do. Like in grad school, I was like, no, this is not something that I would ever see myself doing. And I thought that influencers were just people that talk about their clothes, their travel, all of those things. But actually, when it was probably in 2019, right before the pandemic hit, and I was like, you know what? I'm starting to see some like therapists posting on social media, and I think I'm going to want to go into private practice. So I am going to just take this handle and start posting. So, like a lot of people, I got into it right around the pandemic time. Is that when you actually started posting too, or
No, I
later?
started posting almost maybe like 2 years ago, but that was what inspired me. Well, actually, no. At the time I was posting, I was working for a nonprofit at the time. And so I was creating content for like this government agency that I was working for. But I remember seeing therapists posting and I was like, oh my gosh, they look so cool, look so fun. But I never imagined that for myself one day. And I think when we talk, like a lot of us are like, we didn't really imagine ourselves being people like who've got the mini microphones, who are creating content day in the life. Like we never saw that. What sparked your desire to go beyond marketing your private practice and building a personal brand for yourself?
I was very lucky with when I started mine. I was actually inspired by a supervisor of mine, which I don't think is the norm. Like most people who are working somewhere else, they keep their social media very hush hush. And, my supervisor, she was doing social media, but for things outside of actually seeing clients. It was about speaking and things that she could do in the community. And so when I saw how she was doing it, I was like, I think that this is like a really good way that we can actually spread more information that is helpful about mental health instead of all of the crazy stuff that I see online that is just unhelpful. And like that inspired me to start posting outside of just looking for clients and really
Mm.
more focused on, like my personal experience with ADHD and even my private practice life because I started realizing like those are the things that I enjoy posting about. Like I love posting about ADHD in general, but it's fun when you can post about how it affects yourself or a day in the life behind the scenes of what you're doing. So really my supervisor inspired me and I was incredibly lucky with that. And it just grew and took off and I started leaning into more of what I enjoy.
I love that. And I love that you share, like you are, your specialty is in ADHD, but you share more from the perspective of someone having ADHD as a mom. And you really managed to like blend your world while also like finding ways to support other people.
And I'm actually not a mom myself. Like I will just post some things. I know your face, you're like, wait, really? Like not? No. It's but a lot of people think that because I post a lot about parenting, but that's because that's what my specialty is on, like kids with ADHD. And so I will post about the perspective for parents. And sometimes the way that I make content, it can make people think that I am a parent because of the way that I will phrase things. So you are not alone in thinking that I was a mom or a parent. I wasn't sure if you were saying you were a mom, and I was like, oh, I missed that.
I am not a mom.
I am 34 and child free. I will say I'm married and child free. So I'm not a mom at all. But you know what? Like that is what happens a lot of the times is people think because of my content, being a child psychologist, that I am a mom or I am a parent. So that just cracks me up when people think that. But that's a good thing that people think that about. I guess it's a good thing that my content is relatable to parents.
Well, yeah, especially as someone that like works with children and you support moms with ADHD too. I think like you found a way to relate and meet your ideal client, and that's what social media also, I think, like building that credibility, think building what you know. Anyone's like trying to listen to this, I'm like stunned. Or like
You know, I'm just like you're making me crack up. I'm sorry to catch you off guard with that.
but you also now like engage in like brand partnerships, like you get paid for your content too. And you don't always get amazing comments. I remember a video that you said you had posted, like you got some not so favorable comments. What is it like to be a therapist like who is now embarking in like the brand sponsorship sector?
At first, I was definitely nervous and scared. And also, I was surprised by the fact that this is something therapists can do. My first brand partnership, it was when I had less than 10,000 followers, and it was on Instagram. And a brand reached out to me. And I remember thinking, like, oh, I didn't think this was something that I could do because, again, thinking of how content creators and influencers, they're talking about makeup and beauty and clothes.
Mhm.
But there are a lot of mental health companies or even mental health adjacent companies looking for people like us who have knowledge in an area. And so, yeah, it's something that I have been very thoughtful about because there's a lot of brands that will reach out to me that I'm like, it's just not a good fit
Mm.
at all. And, you know, since we are licensed professionals, we want to make sure that we are taking it very seriously how we show up online, even with these brand partnerships. I am not promoting anything that I personally do not recommend myself or that I wouldn't personally use because that is just that's a boundary for me and that's what I feel good about. So now I think I know what aligns with my values really well and how to work with brands. But it really was a huge learning experience when it comes to like
Mm.
what do you even do for a brand partnership? Like who reaches out to who? How do you negotiate? Like even giving them the content to review. It was all such a big learning curve that I've really grown to enjoy posting about and sharing about because people find the things that you're recommending useful and it's good to share
Mhm.
them.
How did you start to develop your value compass around what brands you would partner with and what brands you would say no to?
Yeah. So I think that part of it goes back to like what I think like my area of expertise is and like what I do. There are a lot of brands that will ask for educational content, for example. So just educational content on ADHD. And anytime a brand has asked about that, that's usually a yes for me because it's truly
Okay.
using just our experience. But when it comes to actually like products that you're talking about a product, for those, my internal value compass is like, let me see it first. And if it's not something that I have used, let me actually dig into it, see what it is like, because I am not going to recommend something without actually using it. And I want to get a really good idea of it. I do have a couple of like hard no's. Really, the biggest one for me is any supplement company. It's a no for me just because personally, I think it can blur the lines between what is within our area of expertise and what is not. It would be one thing to say this is what I'm using personally, but I will say that most of the supplement companies, they want me to talk about how it could help ADHD, and the research really
Mm,
isn't strong enough there for me to recommend it. So that's a really hard no for me. And I will have them reach out to me at least once a week, I will say. But it's just not aligned with what I want to do, and especially with my background on what actually does work for ADHD.
absolutely. I love that you bring up the supplements because I also get a lot of supplement emails in my inbox, specifically like weight loss focus, which I've never like talked about weight loss. A little concerned on
So
why
this,
they're reaching out to me, especially with the rise of like GLPs and that conversation. Like as a therapist, I think about what it would be like for a client to see me promoting a dietary supplement that's like a real hard no for me, and they exist. And so I love that you are speaking to like the values basis behind it, because I think sometimes there is the perception assumption that we're saying yes to whatever's in our inbox, that we are like sell like that we are funneling out, we are selling, we are doing. And it's like there's a real, especially when you start to make it a career part of your work, there's a lot of thought and intention that goes behind the image that you're presenting online.
yeah, I love what you were saying about what if a client saw this, because that's how I approach like all of my social media is like, what if a client saw this and they bring it up in session? Would I be okay with that? And I do know that being online as a therapist, that automatically means that some people will not want to work with me, but it also means that a lot of people will want to work with me.
Hmm.
And that's how it is. But if I am posting something and I feel good about it still, and that I would be okay if a client did see it, that's a really important value for me. I also forgot to say that I am a hard no on companies like BetterHelp. Like anything that we know as therapists do not have the best interests of therapists or clients in mind. Absolutely a hard no. And they've, well, not BetterHelp, but I've had companies like them reach out to me for partnerships, and I've just said, hey, it's not a good fit. That's it. Just saying, hey, it's not a good fit for me. I'm sure there are other therapists that they're okay with promoting it, but for me, it is a hard no.
I've already made a video. My bills got too high if I'm promoting BetterHelp.
It is wild hearing how much they will pay too. I have seen like, I don't know if you've seen about how like therapist directories, like that's something that BetterHelp was buying up. Like if you own a domain for something,
Hmm.
they were giving like really big payouts. So it's like I can understand maybe why somebody did take that, but it's a no for me.
That also goes back to, I mean, we can talk about burnout. We can talk about the financial compensation of being therapists. Like a lot of us are also looking to supplement our income. And so it's completely understandable. I mean, especially when you get out of grad school, you are likely splitting your fee with somebody, making pennies sometimes, depending on who you work for. And then to build up your private practice, like that takes time. And I think sometimes the expectations of social media too give us the perception, like, I think there's this desire to want more too, now that social media is where it is. And so with companies like BetterHelp, those that are offering substantial amounts of money to therapists, knowing the insurance clawbacks, insurance companies don't pay well enough or on time. Like there's like a lot of that appeal, and it's unfortunate, but that's the reality of a lot of like clinicians.
Mhm. And financially, yeah, you're right. I mean, it can be a very nice side. I don't even want to say side income because to be honest, like I will make more off of a video at times than I would make an entire week seeing clients or an entire month,
Hmm.
which is wild. But like, it can be a really nice compliment to the work we do because it's so emotionally like it requires so much emotional commitment, investment of our energy And doing something like creating content to me is not as emotionally taxing as it is working with clients. I know some people do feel really drained by making content, but I myself don't. And so for me, it is a nice way to make extra income on the side.
How have you managed to find the balance for like seeing clients and still feeling energized about content creation?
It is always a work in progress, always. A couple of things I have learned along the way, though, is that I do need to actually batch content ahead of time. I used to create it on the go, like every day, like with my ADHD brain, I think, oh, this is a fun idea. This is a fun idea. And that is still part of it where I will leave some room for that spontaneity, but I need to have some plan in place at the start of the week, or else I am not going to feel good. And it's harder for me to balance seeing clients and doing the content work. I find it really helpful to have a plan. And then the way my schedule is set up, since I work with kids, I am usually seeing clients in the afternoon after school
Mm.
time. So my mornings are more free, which is nice to be able to use that time for content creation and other things. But I know some therapists are like creating in between sessions, and that's hard for my brain to do that switching.
Mm. Yeah, I do a lot of creating in the morning and the evening.
Mhm.
So, like the beginning of my day and then the very end of my day. Shifting is also like it's hard. I will sometimes do like a short, fun one in the middle of the day, but I can't sit down and like do anything too intensive. But it sounds like building systems and structures for yourself to create, be consistent at the cadence that you want to while still like maintaining like your client caseload and other responsibilities as a practice owner.
Yeah, because there's, fluctuations in private practice in general, or as a therapist in general, which is nice. And you can work that into how you create content or how you show up online. Summers are usually a bit more flexible for me because kids are on vacation. And I think for a lot of therapists, even with adults, the summers can be more flexible. So that may be a time where I'm making more content. I'm able to, devote some more time to planning it and to thinking through. But what's nice about some content like we were talking about with TikTok is that you can just show up and make a video like on the go without planning, and it's going to likely do better than if you were to post that
Mhm.
type of content on Instagram, honestly, because that's just the vibe of TikTok, which we love.
And so I want to dig in a little bit to your Facebook group content because it is actually super common though for people to just have not so fun experiences in the Facebook groups. It's a weird echo chamber that I will say therapists who typically create on like TikTok and Instagram don't vibe with the Facebook group energy. Why do you think that is?
I might say something a little bit controversial. I think they might be jealous.
Is
I
that
honest
controversial? I feel like that's what we all.
I think it might be controversial. Yeah.
Okay.
But I genuinely think that for a lot of the therapists that are in Facebook groups that are not showing up on social media, they may look at us and think like we're unethical, right? They
Hmm.
may have this view because there are a lot of therapists in those Facebook groups who think showing up on social media at all is unethical. And so, yeah, you have like the therapists in these Facebook groups who are posting anonymously, or they're asking these wild referral questions, or they're, I would say, bullying other therapists in these groups about their normal questions, normal comments. And then you have the therapists on social media where there are a lot of like, yes, I would say not ethical ones too, but there are a lot of ways to show up ethically. And so I personally think that a lot of the therapists in Facebook groups might see what we're doing on Instagram and TikTok and be like, yeah, no, that is not good.
Hmm.
And they would probably say a lot of mean things about us if we were to post in them and say, hey, look at this new post that I made. What do y'all think?
Hey,
Maybe I
engage on
sh-
my latest post. Help me out.
maybe I should actually post into one of those Facebook groups that TikTok that I made where I was saying like what Facebook groups sound like. And it was some of the things where it's like calling therapists to drink water in their sessions unethical and just see what they think about it. That would be not good.
You would, I mean, you would spark a debate for sure. They might kick you out just for that. They might.
You know, they might, but that's okay. There's other Facebook groups I'm sure I could join.
But I actually like made a video today over on TikTok where I think as a field, we can sometimes get so focused on what we can't do, what we shouldn't do, what you can't make. We get so caught up in the not doing that we don't really become present with the doing.
Mhm.
And so I'm working on building out a workshop right now that I'm presenting in a few weeks. And over 55% of therapists don't finish licensure. And then over 30% pivot out of being therapists altogether. That is a lot
What?
of people. Hmm.
More than half do not even, so they go to grad school or maybe they don't
Yep.
finish grad school. Oh my gosh, that is, wow. Wow, that's a lot.
Hmm. And then over 30% are therapists, and then they realize they want to do something else. And that typically happens at that burnout stage. And so building a career, a multifaceted, sustainable career, it's valuable to sustaining the profession. I was really, and I see you're really shocked too about like those numbers when I saw that because I was not expecting that high of a number.
Yeah, no, I wasn't expecting it to be that high. I definitely am not surprised that a lot of people want to pivot though, because it is a lot of work. And I think there's also like right during the licensure process, you have gone through so much schoolwork, so much practicum, internship experiences, and you're doing a lot for other people versus like when you're in private practice, I think it can be a little bit more flexible. It kind of depends, of course, because there are phases where I'm working a lot of the time. But like there's a lot of things that we can do outside of therapy. And so, you know, my initial thought was, wow, that is a lot of people. And thinking, I don't want to say a bad thing, but yeah, like thinking like, oh man, are we burning out like that? But at the same time, maybe it's just that we're becoming more flexible with what our degrees can do because we have so many great qualities, so many great things that we can add to a variety of different jobs, even if they're not directly client facing.
Hmm. And yeah, I mean, I hope it's like we found the flexibility. And that's what I said on my video today too, is like we all have like master's degree or more. Like these are advanced degrees. They are still
Mhm.
highly sought after. And I think what we are doing with our content too is like showing like there is a way to be a therapist. And for so
Yeah.
long, I think the messaging was like, okay, you're a therapist. Boom. Like that's the bracket, that's the bubble that you live in. Or like, no, like therapist and so many other things
Yes.
that get to be sustainable.
Yeah. And that is where I do get a lot of negative comments about how I shouldn't be on social media. But I also get a lot of really positive comments saying, like, oh my gosh, your content has really helped me understand my ADHD. It's led to me going to get an evaluation. So there's always going to be haters, there's always going to be negatives, but there's also going to always be a lot of positives that we need to pay attention to in grad school. I don't know, when did I finish graduate school? Like 6, 7 years ago. Like they were so anti social media at that time. And even over the past 5 years, I think it's changed. But I remember in my law and ethics class, my professor said that therapists should not even be on dating apps because that, like, what if a client finds you? That is unethical, is what they were saying. Meanwhile, I met my husband on a dating app. So now I'm like, well, whatever, and I'm showing up on social media, but we can be therapists and show up on social media and be multi-passionate, do a ton of other things outside of being therapists. Yeah.
I was the first person, like I think in my grad program to start social media. It wasn't even like a conversation. And I've seen a few people like try to start them and then they fizzle out. But I think especially as the market of therapy changes, how people are looking for a therapist, how the business of therapy changes. And again, that extra income, like as all of those things become really prevalent factors, like social media is going to be a non-negotiable in terms of like a discussion,
Yeah,
especially like as a lot of us are also starting to talk about the business of private practice and that you are just as much a therapist as a business owner when you go into private practice.
oh my
There's
gosh,
like
yes.
things you have to know.
Yeah, and I wish more of this content was around when I started going into private practice, to be honest, because I find it so helpful to watch. And I get a lot of comments now where people are finding it helpful, the things that I'm sharing about private practice. And now that I've been in it for 5, 6 years, it's like you forget the things that you didn't know in the beginning. And that's where a lot of newer therapists are too, or even therapists who are pivoting and going into a different career. It's really helpful that we are sharing those behind the scenes and like that you're sharing other avenues that you can go around to build your personal identity, to show up online, because that's also very hard for a lot of therapists to market yourself and to show up in any
Hmm.
type of form, whether it's social media or something else.
Absolutely. I mean, I think about what I used to think private practice was I put my profile on Psychology Today and then I wait and then I see
Mm-hmm.
clients and it's like then reality hit me and I was like, "Oh, wait. I've got a lot I need to do before all of this happens."
When did you go into private practice?
2 years. I think I'll hit year two.
Yeah, that's well, congrats on almost 2 years. But yeah, it's definitely different now. I started mine during like the COVID period time, and it was like therapists were really full with clients at that point. And but now, like you said, a lot of therapists think, let me just put up a profile on Psychology Today, have a website, and people will find me. And no, I'm spending hours a week marketing. And I like that
Hmm.
part, but you've got to show up for people to find you.
I definitely think the COVID surge, I think when people were going into private practice after that, that was considered like the norm. And now I think we're back in a space like you need to market, you need to understand what your website is, you need to understand what you're offering, you need to network. That's also something we don't talk about often in grad school too, is like the value of networking and who you know. And I'm so glad that we're able to share this content now so that future clinicians, especially as more VC backed businesses start to get into the mental health space, as more business oriented business. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, well, as long as capitalism still exists, like therapy is going to continue evolving as it
Mhm.
continues to encroach in this space. Like people need to be informed and how to show up and what works for them.
Yeah, like it's going to be something that does evolve because there's going to be different ways that people are finding you. And yeah, what we were doing even 3 years ago is not the same as what you need to be doing now. But yeah, I mean, like if you're starting your private practice, my biggest tip is probably to spend more time marketing than you think you should, because you it's starting to build over time, right? Those relationships you build, the website that you build, social media, all of those different avenues, they will build over time, but they're going to take a while to actually see all the fruits of your labor. But you can't just post a profile and hope that the people will come. You've got to be working on it and showing up
Mhm.
constantly.
What do you enjoy doing when you're not being a therapist or creating content?
When I'm not, okay, so when I'm not creating content or being a therapist, I love being outside, being off my phone, like hiking, doing any type of outdoor activities. That is something that I love to do because I feel like for my brain, I need to be moving and doing some type of physical activity. I also like to say I'm a serial hobbyist where I pick up new different activities and try them out. So I tried out like some fun like wheel ceramics classes or different like crafts. Like I got into making keychains, which has been really fun. Um,
Oh,
yeah, that one is really cool. Or even like the air dry clay magnets. I got really into those. So lots of crafts, lots of different hobbies, and lots of outside time. I'm not a beach person, even though I live by the beach. I much prefer the mountains. So that's why I'm always hiking instead of going to the beach to swim.
I feel like that's like a isn't that like a crime in the Bay Area? Like you've got to love the beach, right?
Well, it's a crime for sure, but like there are other people who don't like they don't love it. I don't know. Like even my husband, he's like, I'm not really a big beach person. I'm like, yeah, me either. I prefer the mountains, but we've got all of it here, so that's nice. Nice weather to be outside.
hmm I'm not a huge beach person either. Like people that can sit on the beach for like 6, 8 hours. I'm like,
No, I get bored. Like I can do activities like if you're playing like some type of game on the beach, I can do that. But also like I mean, I'm so pale, so white that it's like my skin gets like burnt so fast. So I don't like to be out like baking in the sun. But I also, yeah, I can't sit outside for 8 hours. I get so bored. But a lot of people just feel like that's so relaxing. So good for them.
hmm I'll go to the arcade.
The arcade, that's what you will do. Oh my gosh, what are your go-to games?
I always go to Rehoboth in Delaware. I love it. And so they have
Mm.
a arcade. I really liked this game where you would basically put you would push quarters and then the quarters would fall
Mm.
out and it was a Willy Wonka version. So I would try to accumulate all the Willy Wonka cards to get the
Oh my
maximum
gosh.
amount of tickets and I would sit there for an hour.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay. Do you like the claw machines where you can win something? Because those
I
are a thing
am
I love.
baller at a claw machine. I've won
Same.
basketballs, stuffed animals.
Oh my gosh. Okay, basketballs. That was hard because they're so round. I can win the stuffed animals, but no, nothing like not I can't ever win the expensive things like an Apple Watch or like the very round things, but those are so fun to do. They're so fun.
Those game console ones are rigged. I'm like,
I mhm.
I would have to spend a couple of hours there if I really wanted. But I love a good claw machine and basketball hoop, the little quarter game, and then air hockey. I'll play with my partner. We'll play air hockey like all the time.
I love air hockey too. I get really competitive with it though. And I'm not generally like a very competitive person, but when it comes to games like that, I get so competitive and into it. Oh, those are
It's
fun.
like it's quintessential arcade.
Yeah. Oh, those are fun. Yeah. I like to do like arcade games too, or even just other games. Like I love board games and love like, oh, there's this game I've been playing called Splurt. Have you played that before?
Oh, what's that?
So it's a card game and I play it with one other person, but I think you can probably play it with multiple people. And you've got basically two card decks. On one card deck, it says something like household item or estate. And then on the other card, it would say something about the letters or the word. So only has two syllables or starts with an O, ends in a G. So it can be really hard, but you have to think really fast. So you have to think like, what is a two-syllable state, right? And you have to think of that. So it's really fun to play. It's like a word game, which I love Wordle and connections and all of those. So maybe that's why I like it so much, honestly.
Do you like games on like the iPad?
I'm not big into those. No, I only play them with my nephews. Like, I don't want to say make me, but they'll send me them and they'll be like, oh, look at this game. But I'm not into those. I just can't get into them. Are you?
I've gotten
Yeah.
yeah, I got
Which
there's a game that I would play called Township and I would build like a farm base like my own town and I'm
I've
like,
seen
hey,
ads for it. I've seen ads for it.
and so right now I'm playing a game called Idle Farming and so I'm just farming.
Why we need to figure out why all these farming games became so popular, right? It started with was it Farmville or
Mhm.
yeah, they became so popular, but I've seen definitely the one you're talking about as an ad because my nephews they will send me this I can paint game, I think is what it's called. And it's got these paint buckets and you just make the loops and you make a drawing and they'll send me their artwork and then I'll send it back to them. So that's really like the only types of games I have are the ones my nephews send me.
I will say part of it is because a lot of games have ad interruptions now. it is much easier to sell an app to somebody. So I also play a lot of like color matching games where
Oh,
one of them is called Pixel Flow. And so I pick the color and then it like absorbs all the orbs and it just keeps going until I clear it out. But it'll just keep giving me games of a similar nature. And I'm like, well, if I like this game, I'm definitely gonna like this one. And now I'm like an iPad kid. So,
you're an iPad kid. Have you played Chromatic?
no, what is it?
It's a color game where you have to line up the colors in order from like darkest to lightest. And eh, I started doing that one a while ago. I haven't done it recently, but that was fun. So you might like it if you like the other color one, Chromatic.
Oh, I'll add that to my list. I've got a couple my idle farming and then whiteout survival. It's like surviving a winter tundra. And so it's
My
like Game of Thrones basically where I have explorers and I have survivors that are on my land right now. So I am booked. I am
You're booked and busy with the games, private practice, everything going on, right?
Carrie, this has been such a great conversation. What is some advice you would give to a therapist that is uncertain of what it would look like for them to create content?
So, my biggest piece of advice is to just start creating and put it out there because there's a lot of like thoughts and worries about is this right? Is this perfect enough
Hmm.
for a post? Just start creating it and post it and see what works and look at every post that you're making just like an experiment. Like, did this one do well? Did it not do well? And then you can adjust from there. I have content that flops. Everybody has content that flops. And so when you get 10 views, one like on your post, don't look at it as a bad thing. Just look at it as information of what to keep doing or what isn't working.
Hmm. This was so fun. Thank you so much for joining me today.
It was so fun. Yeah, we had a lot of fun chatting about all the things social media and farming and our matching striped outfits.
Yes, we are matching today, everyone. But yeah.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.